To speak to the resolution, the chair recognizes Representative Rogers.
Thank you. What a legacy. And I'm sure I will not do it justice, and we could be here all day talking about all the things that Mary Brown helped us with. Wife, mother, friend, Western Michigan University assistant professor, environmentalist, legislative legend, and first female state representative from Kalamazoo, Girl Scout leader, citizen watchdog, mentor. When I got the message on November 21st that Mary had passed, I was frankly in disbelief. Intellectually, and as a physical therapist, I knew she was slowing down and 86 years young, but she was always the Energizer bunny. We all assumed she'd live, well, forever. Only a few years ago, she was in fact still barking orders and directing me and Sherry Bell and others who should do what task for the upcoming Planned Parenthood fundraiser. And she was still holding large events at her home in her and Don's backyard up until very recently. Mary served an astonishing 18 years as our beloved Kalamazoo state representative. I say astonishing because, as you all know, all of you who are serving right now, we are term limited to 6 years, and she was the last rep to serve before term limits were enacted. One of the first things someone asked me in January when I began serving in this chamber, in this seat, was, "Are you going to bring back the Mary Brown poinsettias?" I think she kept the lights on in our local 60th district single-handedly with those poinsettia sales. During her time here, she served as chair of the House Democratic Caucus. I want to repeat the years, 1983 to 1994. For those of you, like Representative Hall, who have served as caucus chair, you know that's a long time. And as chair of the House Constitutional Revision and Women's Rights Committee, Senior Citizens and Retirement Committee, and the Insurance Committees, all again as chair. What a leader. As chair of the Constitutional Revision and Women's Rights Committees, again, I want to highlight that she was the first legislator to hold hearings on key women's issues, such as pay equity and domestic violence. In the mid-1980s, former Governor James Blanchard appointed Mary to the Michigan Civil Service Commission's Comparable Worth Task Force. Yes, even in the early 80s, we were talking about pay equity, as we still are today. In 2007, Mary was inducted into the Michigan Women's Hall of Fame, and she was twice appointed to the Natural Resources Commission. One quality that made her so special was Mary's ability to work with others, especially across the aisle. She taught me early on it was more important to fight for our residents, compromising on policy where it made sense, while still upholding one's core beliefs. In fact, her work with key Republicans like Jack Wellborn, who we honored earlier this term, and Don Gilmer were legendary and epic. Another insight in my early years serving on the Kalamazoo County Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, as many of you have served on local boards in your districts, they're not usually overrun with people in the gallery. But there was Mary, month after month, at every meeting, and she would always call me up afterwards and point out what we did right and what we could improve upon. She did that well into her 70s and 80s, and the only meetings she missed, I think, were when she fell and broke her pelvis and arm, and I think that only slowed her down for a couple of months. She was a special mentor to me and many other women, and often offered sage advice, particularly when we were facing tough situations. She was both practical and visionary. She was never afraid to speak up and fiercely advocate for whatever cause she believed in, especially environmental protection, reproductive rights, and care for auto crash survivors. In fact, she was one of the chief architects and negotiators of Michigan's unique auto no-fault framework. Thank you, Mary. You have made a permanent mark on so many lives in Kalamazoo. Don, Linda, Jeff, and Jim, thank you for sharing her with us. All families of elected officials give and sacrifice so much time. I have a parting quote, fittingly from the 1913 Handbook for Girl Scouts, and I believe she served 2 troops, not just one, because one, wasn't enough. The thing is, when there is danger before you, don't stop and think about it. The more you look at it, the less you will like it. But take the plunge and go boldly in at it, and it will not be half as bad as it looked when you were once in it. This is the way to deal with any difficulty in life. Rest in power, Mary.
Thank you, Representative. All members in favor of the memorial resolution, please rise. The resolution is adopted. For a special introduction, the chair recognizes Representative Rogers.
Thank you. I would like to recognize Mary Brown's family who are here with us today, Linda, her daughter, and Don sitting beside me, as well as special guests in the gallery from Kalamazoo.
Members, please join me in welcoming the family of former Representative Brown and thanking them for their service to the House of Representatives